York. Are they still around, you know?
No,
Oh,
actually,
COVID?
no. So this is one of those stories with scandal and, all of that. So then
Sexual stuff?
yeah, I think
Always.
like
Hello and welcome to How We Are Healing, the podcast where real people share vulnerable stories and life learned lessons. I'm Tristan, friendly yoga teacher, and your host through the darkness towards healing, one conversation at a time. And now, on to the episode. Hello and welcome to the How We Are Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tristan, and with me today we have Sara Cecilia, yoga teacher. Sara, welcome to the podcast.
thank you for having me.
We also have your dog. What's your dog's name?
NASA.
Nasa. Nasa is a cutie patootie. So if you hear growls and scritches and things like that, just be happy that we have a dog blessing the podcast today. I
Oh,
love dogs, so
yeah.
it's super good to have her with us.
Thank
What
you.
kind of dog is she?
She's a street dog. Yeah. She's from Bucerias originally.
Busarias. Wow, you're from Boosie? Huh? Busarias.
She's a COVID puppy.
Canada too.
Oh yeah, it
Busarias,
is.
Canada too. Yeah.
It is for sure.
You found her when she was a puppy?
Yeah, well, so it was like COVID and I was interested in fostering a dog
Hmm.
or a puppy. And so I went to the local animal shelter and there was this dog named Paco that I was curious about just because he was so chill and like I put him on my forearm and he fell asleep. And I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna take Paco.
Hmm.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna peek around the corner, see what else is over here. And there was like a litter of puppies and they were all beautiful. And I was like trying to like interact with one, but then NASA like came over to me and then she went like this. So then I was like, okay, I think you're choosing me.
Hmm.
Even though I wanted to take Paco, but I
Right.
ended up taking NASA. And that's her name from the shelter. And I thought, oh, it's perfect. She's like kind of spacey. She's a space cadet.
She
Uh,
absolutely knows you're talking about her right now. She 100%.
really? How do you think?
She stopped playing.
Oh, true.
She was playing the whole time we were introducing the podcast, and then as soon as you were telling the story, and like, look at her ears.
Yeah, she's like,
Totally perked up. Yeah, she's adorable. She knows it too. She knows she's so beautiful.
and if I were to get a second dog, we were talking about that
Mhm.
before the podcast. Keeping with the space theme, I think I would get a Jupiter. That I would name the
Nice.
dog Jupiter. And it's funny because one time, like a long story, but the tow truck guy, she was in the tow truck with me and my friend. He called her Hoopy. He's like, ah, ¿cómo está Hoopy? And I was like, what? He's like, your dog. I was like, no, her name is NASA. But so it's funny.
What? Why? Where did he come up with that?
I don't know. I
He
think
didn't.
the association with NASA and space, and he just like
He named
Jupiter.
her. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's beautiful, actually. Okay, cool. I'm thinking, like, do you think Jupiter is more of a girl's name or a boy's name for a dog?
I think it's like one of those cool, like it could be anything,
It could
like
be.
Dylan or like, what's another one of those names that could be
Yeah.
like androgynous.
Right.
Yeah.
What I love about Jupiter, the planet, right? What I love about it is that it's like kind of our protector because there's the asteroids that are kind of coming in and any that are like not in an like a normal safe kind of orbit for Earth, for hitting Earth.
Yeah.
Jupiter always, because of its gravity, will kind of like intercept it on the way
Oh,
towards
that's
Earth.
cool.
Yeah, if it's coming from out of
Yeah.
our little belt.
I've never kind of made that association. I mean, I have like my own reasons why I love Jupiter.
Hmm.
Expansion and like it's like the planet of good luck and I don't know, it's always been one of my favorite planets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about these teas you made us.
Yeah, so these are actually some of my favorite teas. I'm a tea fiend. I love tea, actually, if you want some. So yeah, these are some of my favorite teas. So you're drinking Tulsi,
Mm.
and I'm drinking Nettle. And I put some lemon in the Nettle, and yeah, I just love tea.
Nettle
Hmm.
is quite bitter, right?
Hmm.
That's why when you were like Tulsi or Nettle, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go with Tulsi.
And Tulsi is kind of sweet, even though there's no sugar or anything. It's just
Yeah, this is a delicious tea. The color is like Well, I mean, we've got these beautiful purple lights, so I don't know if it's exactly the right color. It's almost amber light,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
it is.
amber light. Okay, cool. Thank you for the tea.
Yeah, you're
Cheers.
welcome. Cheers.
So, what brought you to yoga teaching? What's your superhero origin story?
Yeah, so I would say I've always been interested in movement. Um, and and I kind of came to yoga maybe when I was 18 years old, the first time I took a class, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, but it's not for me. I think I need something more active.
It was too slow.
But
Oh,
this was me as an 18-year-old.
yeah.
And then later on, like fast forward later, I found myself living in New York and working in advertising and not really, I don't know, it's like the middle of winter. I wasn't really like, I felt like I needed something. I
Mhm.
wasn't quite sure what it was. Like I couldn't articulate it back then. Um, but I needed to move. And I was starting to get really anxious. And, I think especially with a lifestyle where you're behind a computer and you're just like, that's your day. You go to work, you're behind a computer, you come home, you sit more. So, so yeah, I was just like, I kept getting invited to yoga classes and I was like, okay, I like this. But it wasn't until a moment, um, this place called Yoga to the People. I mean, that's not
Mhm.
important particularly, but
But it's a quite a popular studio in New York. Are they still around, do you know?
no,
Oh,
actually,
COVID?
no. So this is one of those stories with scandal and, all of that. So we,
Sexual stuff?
yeah, I think,
Always. With yogis, always.
yeah.
Sorry, continue though.
But anyway, and so I'm sure the scandal and everything will make an appearance later in the podcast,
Mhm.
or in our conversation.
Were you involved in the scandal?
No,
Can we?
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
Sure.
But but so I was in one of these classes, and what I love about the one of the things I liked about Yoga to People is that it was accessible, right? Because it was like very affordable, like pay what you can. And so I was going more and more frequently. And so I had this moment where I was like, whatever the yoga. But then at the end of class, I realized how calm and peaceful I was. And it was almost like, when there's good weather, you almost don't notice it. It was almost like that. And I was like, wait a second, something is different. But then it kind of felt magical. And so I was like, I need to learn what this is about. Like how, why, like, and so I was just hooked from that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah. That to me, like, is such a Western viewpoint, in my opinion, but that's, I think, how I got started in yoga too. It's just,
Oh yeah.
I'm calm. Why? How? Right? And like that desire to break it down and like, that's the Western mind.
But also just like, what is this magic?
Yeah.
Like, can I learn how to recreate this,
Hmm. Right. And then you did.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And so how old were you at the time when like you got reintroduced to yoga? So it was like 18 you were introduced, but then it was more when you were in advertising and
Yeah, like in my late 20s.
late 20s. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
So I kind of started late in
Yeah.
yoga.
Yeah. I think I did too. Around,
Late 20s.
yeah, like as a teacher, late 20s or 30s. Yeah, 30s.
Yeah,
But
I didn't
just
get
kind of,
certified until, yeah, I was
mhm.
like 31.
Yeah, okay. I started teaching before I was certified.
Oh yeah. I've heard that story a lot. Like it's
Yeah,
pretty common
I
now.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's such a magical, mystical, ethereal thing,
Yeah.
and we've put processes on top of it, right, to like codify it in a way
Yeah,
and certify it and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like this mystical, beautiful practice. So it's interesting that we do that.
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. So like what are your day-to-day routines like involving yoga, around yoga? And I'm sure they've changed over the years.
Yeah, so I would say, can I use the term wellness just
Yeah,
in general?
yeah.
Um, just because, maybe day to day I don't actually get to do yoga or like what's considered yoga.
Mhm.
Like a physical practice, maybe more so the philosophy, but I would say more wellness. Um, so I would say, and I get asked this a lot, and I'm sure you do too as a
Yeah.
yoga teacher, like, what's your daily practice like? And to be honest, like I do have my go-tos that are like my non-negotiables,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't say I have like a set kind of thing where I do like this X amount of movement or anything like that. I would say one of the first things I do when I wake up is, of course, like lower my feet down off the bed and like just ground, and then either brush my teeth
Hmm.
and use a tongue scraper or oil pull,
Hmm.
and then use, brush my teeth and tongue scraper. But I feel like that tongue scraper is like key. Like ever since I started,
Yeah.
since my late 20s,
Hmm.
I can't stop. Like if there is a day that I, for whatever reason, if I'm traveling and I forgot my tongue scraper, I feel gross. I feel disgusting,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's one of my go-tos for sure. And then I do something like this, like I make like a warm water kind of drink,
Hmm.
whether that's just warm water if I'm traveling, or warm water with lemon, or warm water turmeric and salt and lemon, or warm water and apple cider vinegar. So just like something to hydrate.
Yeah.
And then like maybe I'll do some movement if I can. Um, and that changes from day to day, just like how I'm feeling in my
Right.
body. Or maybe I'll go out and take a walk.
Right. And how long is it before on a typical day you have your first like to do like where you have to get out of the house? Like is it
Hmm.
that you wake up and you move a little and then you go, or like you have your mornings kind of freed up?
I mean, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
Um, like lately, I've been going to the gym. So
Nice.
that's something I've been doing 3 times a week.
Hmm.
And so that's like more like, I get out of bed, brush my teeth, wash my face, have my tonic, and then have some coffee, and then I go to the gym.
Hmm.
If I don't have a morning that's kind of like rushed like that, then I'll like take my time a little bit and maybe do some movement, maybe some stretching, um, or like depending on how I'm feeling in my body, maybe some myofascial release or rolling.
How does myofascial release work for you?
So, say that I'm particularly sore in a spot, maybe I'll do like a rolling thing. Have you seen those foam rollers?
Oh yeah.
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 So like that, or like even now I'm thinking about it, I'm like trying to stretch my back.
Hmm.
But I usually like to open my back because I feel like, especially if I just woke up and I was sleeping, I'm a side sleeper.
Yeah.
So I feel like I really need to open my chest and open my upper back. Or like sometimes I have a tendency to get really tight in my hamstrings.
Hmm.
So I'll do like the balls. Have you ever used I actually have them right over there.
They are is it a softball or like a racquetball that are the
Um,
best ones to use?
well, so you could use tennis balls.
Hmm.
But I actually just treated myself. And do you see those kind of aqua balls? I could even bring them over. But
Bring it over.
yeah.
Aqua ball.
Um,
Oh, okay. So it's got like a little bit of leeway. It's got
yeah.
like a jelly kind of feel.
Well, yeah, I love these balls, and so I treated myself because you could use a tennis ball, you could use a lacrosse ball, and they're all varying densities. This was made specifically for myofascial release, and you could tell because the texture of the ball is kind of rubbery, but it's perfect. It's actually silicone. It's perfect for your skin.
Okay.
So if you kind of grab the skin, so if you even try it here,
Hmm.
like on your arm, you could just kind of press it gently. So you need to be on the skin,
Okay.
and then you can twist it. And so what you're doing is you're kind of um,
Oh.
shearing the fascia underneath the superficial fascia. And so this is a way to release trigger points. Um, but so,
And this is not a very typical movement I'm finding. Like as how to describe it? Like the way a hurricane twists, right? Like
yeah,
that's what it kind of that's the motion that it feels
yeah,
like as the ball moves around on the skin. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Or like even have you had acupuncture
Hmm?
and then they'll like kind of twist the needle? Like it kind of feels like that on a not such a acute kind of level.
Yeah.
But so this is a really nice way to kind of do spot treatment, or um, like if you have tight calf muscles or hamstrings, like what I love to do.
Preaching to the choir here.
Sorry for my leg in your. So you could just put this on a block. So I'm just kind of bringing the balls next to each other.
Yep.
And of course, this would be better on skin and on a block. And then you just roll forward and
Oh,
back.
okay.
And it's incredible because it's like,
It's
it's
like
like,
sandwiching the calf muscles, both of them on that part, right? There's two at the side, is that right? Anatomy is not my strong suit.
Yeah, so there's like it kind of splits,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And so what it does is like compressing the tissues. So compressing the tissues, then it kind of brings hydration. Um, it also kind of melts any adhesions you have. So adhesions are like when your tissues get stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's also like my teacher, she calls it like combing the fascia
Ah,
because it's like all tangled.
yeah,
So if you're kind of moving in this way where you're gliding or sliding over it, then it's like just kind of organizing all the tissues.
that's beautiful. And so talk to me about your teacher.
Yeah, so one of my teachers that I've been fortunate to study with for my fascia release and knee and yoga, her name's Tiffany Cruikshank, and she actually helped design these balls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and she's great. Like she's, I feel like super real and like super accessible as a teacher,
Yeah.
which
Where
I think
is
is
she
really
based out
important.
of?
I think she was originally based in Seattle, and I think now she's in Colorado, so
Okay.
maybe Denver or Boulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had my friend Emma on the podcast, and she's from Colorado
Oh,
originally.
cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if originally, but she was living there, and she is a therapist, and she
Mhm.
practices out of there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've met her actually,
Oh, cool.
and I think we talked about you.
Ah, oh, jeez.
Like, oh, do you know Kristen? Tristan? I was like, yeah, me too.
How did I come up? That's crazy.
Okay, so do you know Emily?
No.
Okay. Well, she knows you. So we were also talking about,
My
but
God.
all good things,
Oh
obviously.
gosh.
Um, anyway.
Well, yeah, so I know Emma, and then Emma and another friend introduced me to Elisa. And actually, Elisa, do you know Elisa? She's an herbalist. We were supposed to record today.
Oh, Alyssa, wait,
Is is
I don't know.
I don't know how I'm pronouncing it, if
Okay.
I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. Yeah.
You might be right
Yeah.
because I think she collaborated with Emily, actually.
Yes,
Yeah.
on like an herbal thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Herbal and astrology or something.
okay, yeah, so I need to meet Emily.
Yeah.
I need to meet Emily, yeah.
Oh, she was like not interested anymore.
No, well, she heard the fireworks.
Oh,
How did she do with fireworks?
she likes to hide under my bed.
She's doing okay now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
But wow, that was very like I didn't even catch it. No, she's okay. She came back to play
Yeah.
and she thinks that these are toys.
So what are these called technically? These I
Um,
would call them massage balls. I don't know.
I think you could call them that, but I think these are just called MFR balls, like myofascial release balls. Are-
MFR balls. MFR balls. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. She's so sweet.
She's so funny. Like she's typically not interested in balls for
Yeah.
toys,
Yeah.
but like when I brought these out, she's like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Like she loves sticks.
Right. Well, like we talked about this before we started recording as well, but like this is what I love about dogs specifically is that they teach us about play and how important play is. And so,
Yeah.
you're bringing out the MFR balls because we're having a conversation, like an intellectual,
Yeah.
human frontal lobe conversation, but she doesn't have that frontal lobe. So she just sees that and she's like, "Oh, it's playtime."
Yeah.
Because she's making the connection between these,
Oh, true.
right? Oh, she's kind of done playing right now.
She just wants pets.
Yeah, she's so sweet. How long have you had NASA?
So since COVID, it's gonna be 5 years
Wow.
in March.
And you raised her from puppy?
Yeah, so I started fostering her. They think she was 3 months,
Wow.
2 to 3 months, yeah, at the time. And actually it was April when I fostered her. But yeah, ever since then she was abandoned at the shelter with her um siblings. And yeah.
So there's a shelter in Bucerias as well.
Hmm.
There's one in every
Yeah,
zone.
it's called The Dog's New Life, which I think is a really
The
nice name.
dog's new life. I just went to the Saturday market in the Tile Park. I don't know what the park is called. I just call it Tile Park, but you know what I'm saying, right?
The Towel Park?
Tile?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, now
yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so I wanted to speak specifically with the Sula Society because they do a lot of
Oh,
adoption here, and I've
yeah.
been talking with them since September actually, and now we're in what, February? End of
Almost March,
February,
yeah.
almost March, and so like a long time, and it's just it gets busy,
Yeah,
how it is.
for sure.
And so anyway, as I was there, I actually ended up speaking to one or two other dog shelters because there are multiple in Puerto Vallarta. I
Yeah.
didn't realize. I had no idea there were so many. So I'm speaking
Oh,
with 3 or 4 right now.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, maybe your future dogs can meet NASA and we can have a
Yeah,
play date.
that would be lovely. It would need to be somewhere with a lot of space because she needs to run.
Oh yeah.
She's got a lot of energy. The beach would probably be perfect.
She loves the beach.
Yeah.
She doesn't go into the water necessarily. She just goes like elbow deep.
Right.
Um,
How is she with small dogs though?
she's kind of, it depends.
Because I can picture her like running them over.
Yeah. So she likes small male dogs. Small female dogs, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. That's interesting. Why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
I don't know. I think she prefers male dogs. But I think that's kind of like a thing
Yeah.
with female dogs, right?
Yes, yeah, there's like like a not obsession, but preoccupation maybe.
Yeah.
Is she fixed? Yeah, cool. How was her energy before and after? Because she's so
I
energetic. She's
know.
so
It's
intelligent.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like you would think her being fixed that she would be less energetic. Well, she was really little when she got fixed.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of hard to tell. Like she's always been kind of sassy though.
Yeah.
Like so she knows what we're talking about, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah, sassy. Do you know what that word means? We had a dog named Sassy when growing up.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Was
a
she
little
sassy?
a little Chihuahua. Less.
Less sassy than Nasa?
Yeah, way less. 'Cause she's a little Chihuahua, like
Well,
different energy.
Chihuahuas can be pretty sassy though.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I want. I want 2 Chihuahuas.
Oh, cute. Like the deer head or the apple head?
What is the difference? I've never heard of this.
So I think the apple head is like the really round
Oh,
head,
I can see it
and
now.
then the deer head kind of looks like NASA's
Right.
head.
I think I'd prefer a deer head, but I'm not going to be picky. It's like
Yeah.
my criteria is like teacup-ish, like tiny,
Oh,
tiny,
yeah.
tiny, because I want to be able to travel
Yeah,
and like,
that's
take buses and hikes and things like that.
that's true.
And so I want like I've already got it planned. I want the little side.
Hmm.
How to describe this? It's like
Like a
with
purse? I think they're called purses.
no, no,
I'm
no.
just joking.
Ah, no, because it's for dogs. You know what I mean? It's
Like
they
a
stick their little heads
Bjorn,
out.
like a baby Bjorn, but like on the
Exactly.
side.
I want a Bjorn
Hmm.
for 2 Chihuahuas
Oh, okay.
on the
I don't
side.
think I've seen those. That's cool that they exist.
Oh yeah, they're like really affordable. I was on Mercado Libre.
Nice.
So for people who don't know Mercado Libre, it's like Mexico's answer to Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Mhm.
much. Is there another one? Or is it that's just what we get?
I think that's the only one I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's also Mano a Mano, right? That's like a local kind of newspaper.
Yeah, I think so. I've never used it actually.
It's like
So
Craigslist.
yeah.
Yeah.
But is it online now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it also was in print, but I heard it's
Discontinued.
discontinued.
Yeah, so when I first moved here,
Hmm.
people kept saying, "Oh, you could find an apartment on Mano y Mano."
Mano a Mano, yeah.
And then this was right as they were transitioning from like the print to like they didn't nobody told me it was going to be online. They're just like, "Oh yeah, like just go to an Oxxo and you can find one." And nobody had one. And it's like, "Well, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And nobody could tell me.
They
And so,
transitioned.
yeah.
You know what else they transitioned to right when I moved here? Like the day
Uh-huh.
I went into an OXXO, and so for people who don't know Mexico, OXXO is like 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
and they were putting on those tres sellos, the 3 seals,
Mm-hmm.
like the excessive sodium, excessive fat, excessive
Oh,
calories, excessive
the
sugar,
black and white
the
one.
black and white
Yeah.
labels, yeah, which I would love to see adopted in the United States.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's true. That doesn't exist in the US.
not really, no. But what's actually kind of amazing is you'll kind of notice it. Basically, any processed food, will have at least one. And that should kind of tell you something.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is excessive. It's processed. As soon as you process food, boom, all of a sudden you have to put a label on it now in Mexico. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a little funky.
A little excess of sodium or
Yeah, something, right? But I did read that the Trump administration wants to, or someone in the Trump administration wants to put the nutrition label on the front of packages
oh,
instead of the back.
interesting.
I'm a fan of that
Yeah.
because this is too much work flipping the
Yeah, that's true.
flipping
Well,
the
I mean,
box. We don't
probably
do
some
it.
people don't do it, right?
Yeah, we don't do it. We don't know how. Yeah. Oh, so we were on the wellness topic, and you were saying that
Oh yeah.
as well, tongue scraping.
Oh yeah.
Love a good tongue scrape. Love a good tongue scrape.
Yeah, me too.
A friend of mine, we were traveling, and we didn't bring a tongue scraper, and he was like, "Oh, I guess we'll just use a spoon." And I thought that was kind of genius.
Does it really work though?
Why not?
I mean, in
I've used it. I was like,
I,
yeah, because I also use it. I haven't. I didn't. I was gonna say I lost mine. I didn't lose it. It broke. I had a
oh,
copper one, and I
yeah.
wouldn't recommend that anymore. I would go stainless steel for my next one. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I
Why
think
don't you recommend the copper one?
because they break. Copper is a very, it's a very soft metal.
True.
Maybe if it was a mix, copper and something
Yeah.
else, but I don't know. I'm not an expert in
Interesting.
tongue scrapers and materials. I just know for my next one. Well, because uh, I was also really interested in gua sha.
Yeah, I love gua sha.
Yeah, and so I was doing research into like what material would go good, and apparently stainless steel is like
Really?
because it doesn't hold bacteria. Like bacteria
Um,
cannot live on it for very long versus
okay.
other like stone ones,
Yeah.
jade and all that. Like it the bacteria can stick around a bit longer.
Oh wow. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's like the rose quartz and like
Hmm.
there's the jade and then there's this like trend with that beyond stone. Is that how you, the kind of
Never
like
heard
the
of it.
black one?
Okay. What's the
Yeah.
trend?
Well, I mean, there's like these brands that are claiming that like this stone in particular is like the best for gua sha. And I don't know why, like,
They just said it's the
yeah,
best and that they get into it, but you didn't
yeah.
see.
And
Yeah.
it's like, and I mean, I don't know, it could be, but I don't think it's a reason to charge $70 for it.
70?
Yeah. And I found it for like $10.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, I'm curious, yeah, about the stainless steel.
Mhm.
Like other than the bacterial or antibacterial benefits, because like they say with like the rose quartz, like it holds this energy and like,
Right.
but yeah,
And I'm into that stuff. Like I'm down to try all that stuff too. And also like in terms of worrying about bacteria on a stone,
yeah,
you just like take a little soap and
yeah,
water and
right,
like what and it's like it's not it's kind of a non-issue
right,
actually, really, but I don't know, yeah, that was just what my like, 20 minutes of research said.
yeah.
It's not, yeah.
No, that's cool though. But yeah, I love gua sha as well, and that's something that I'll do if I have like a long morning and
Hmm.
if I don't have anywhere to be in particular. This other thing that I've been getting into is like these microcurrents. Have you seen this? Like it's
No.
like Skin Dion, I think is what it's called.
Hmm.
And I just re recently gifted myself this. And so it's kind of like using like a gua sha,
Hmm.
but it's like you're using kind of the same strokes and like the same kind of moving up from the neck upward,
Okay.
but it releases microcurrents. So it's kind of like,
Releases microcurrent.
yeah, so it's like little kind of like little
Oh, it shocks.
electrical shocks, like tiny ones.
Okay.
And so it's supposed to, move lymphatic fluid and it's supposed to kind of like give your fascia and muscles like some kind of tonifying.
Yeah.
So, and actually, it's really nice because I really like ritual and process
Mhm.
and I think when you do those things for yourself, like whether it's like a cup of warm water in the morning or like a cup of coffee or gua sha, it's just like really like, oh, like you're creating space for yourself. And
Yeah. Self-care, right?
yeah.
Yeah. The topic of self-care, I love, and I've been diving into my own like version of it basically, where anything I'm about to do, anything I'm about to say, anything I'm about to eat,
Mm,
any person I'm about to meet with, I basically ask myself, am I making this decision because I love myself? That's like
mm.
a new question that I'm asking.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because, like earlier today I had a craving for Burger King and I'm like, hmm. Like if I order this,
Yeah.
do I love myself? And my answer was no. So I didn't order it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like,
I
maybe,
like that.
yeah, I'm like, maybe I go for, something different.
Yeah.
I don't eat a lot of Burger King in general. It's just a craving.
Yeah.
Cravings come up. But
What about a chicken craving?
I eat a lot of chicken.
I know, like the rotisserie ones, right? Those are.
I had that this morning because I had some in my fridge leftovers. Yeah.
Nice.
That is so funny. How did you,
I don't know
are you
because I think
psychic?
yes, no,
Yeah, true.
no, but I think we've talked about that before. Like, haven't we?
About what?
About chicken and like like rotisserie
Let's talk
chicken.
about it now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Big
me
fan.
too. Or like the potatoes
Right.
that come with it.
Yes, I
Yeah,
had
they're so
that
good.
too.
And
That's all I got from there is like
oh
they
wow.
have like a meal where it's the rice as well. And I
Hmm.
got it like a few weeks ago and the rice was undercooked. And I'm like, okay, don't get the rice.
Yeah.
Not at this place that I go to. And so I just got chicken and potatoes and that's what
Oh,
I had
nice.
today. And then there was a worker there who was packaging it up and we were talking about other things. We were actually having a nice conversation. And he
Yeah.
was about to put in like a bag of tortillas. And I was like, oh no, I don't eat tortillas with chicken. And
Mm.
he gave me the look of like,
Like really?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then he goes, why? And I said, no dar nutrición. It doesn't
Oh,
give, or nutritiva, I don't know how to say
yeah.
it. I'm like, it doesn't give nutrition. And he's like, yes, it does. And he was like, I don't want to say arguing with me, but he was like, you're wrong. And I was like, okay. But
I mean, you're
of course,
talking to a Mexican, of course they're gonna say that
but of course we're
nutrition.
both right, aren't we?
Right.
And
True.
the hard thing about food is
Yeah.
that it's always contextual and
Yeah.
it's always about like, what is the context of the one food that you're talking about in the
Right.
grand scheme of your day and your week and your month, right?
Hmm.
Like a slice of cake at a birthday party, no
Yeah.
big deal because it's once a whatever, a season.
Yeah.
But a slice of cake a week? All right, now we're getting.
Yeah.
You just made a face. Do you have a slice of cake? Do you have a slice of cake a week?
I don't. I was actually thinking about the tortillas.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, like just kind of thinking, I love tortillas
Right.
and I kind of get what he was saying because like I love making the little tacos with the chicken and then like a little salsa.
Oof, yum.
But as much as I like them, I know how inflammatory they can be.
Depending, right? There's flour, there's corn, there's blue corn, so you're right.
Yeah,
Depending on the
so
kind.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful of that, even though I love tortillas
Right.
and I could eat tortillas all the time, but like, do I want to eat them all the time? Yeah, but should I?
Well, I do. I eat them a lot because I go to like these taco stands, and
Yeah,
not only do they give you a tortilla, they give you two.
yeah.
Like,
And then they put like a little bit of oil or,
oh, do they? Oh,
sometimes,
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I got into this debate with a friend because I go to the Tianguis a lot by the stadium,
Mhm.
and I get my food there, and he's like, "Dad, they use the seed oils, and it's the worst stuff." And I'm like, "Where are you getting your information?" I'm like, "I have never seen a seed oil." And he's like, "No, they do. They absolutely do." And so I made a point of asking them the last time I was there. I was like, I went to the birria place. So birria is like it's either cow or lamb
Brisket.
beef, yeah, or brisket. And so I asked them, I'm like, what kind of oil do you use? And they were like, we don't. We use the lard of the beef. Like it's just
Oh,
part of.
yeah.
It's like when you slow cook the fat from inside seeps out, and that's the you don't need to add oil.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. So
Yeah.
I went to Carboncito last night.
What is it?
Carboncito.
Is that a restaurant?
It's like a taco place. And so
And you didn't invite me? No, I was kidding.
no, next time.
Where is it in town?
It's actually here in Cinco de Diciembre.
Okay.
And so I saw them take the tortillas and go like this, but it's probably the
Yeah.
fat of they have steak and pork and
Right.
yeah. So
Just ask them. They'll tell you. Yeah.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. As long as you don't lead. Like if you're like, do you use seed oils? The answer will always be no.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
Like it's about asking in a way that they have to answer.
Yeah. But I have seen some taco stands use like canola oil.
Yeah.
So
I don't
yeah.
know. There's one of my favorite podcasts is Diary of a CEO. Have you ever heard of that one?
Mm.
I I unfortunately cannot remember the host's name right now, and I can't remember the name of the guest he had on, but she was talking about how seed oils actually aren't that bad for us. Like there's not a lot of science
Oh, really?
that says it's bad for us.
Huh.
And I was kind of like doing my own like searching internally of like,
Yeah.
okay, I know I've had seed oils a lot, like either
Yeah.
growing up or whatever, and I'm just trying to remember. I'm like, does it sit well with me or wrong with me in my body? And I kind of don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
The other thing I heard about seed oils is that they're okay to eat
Hmm.
unless you're in the sun. So there's something about that oil,
Hmm.
like even if you just put it on your skin, right,
Hmm.
it would burn really quickly and easily in the sun because different oils have different effects with light and
Yeah.
and the
Heat.
sun and
Yeah.
heat. And so that's kind of the danger of seed oils is what the effect is in the sun,
Okay. I didn't know that.
right?
I mean, but that makes sense because of the heat
Yeah,
factor, right?
yeah. But like all of these conversations around food, right? Like we've talked about tortillas, we've talked about chicken, we've talked about it's all about you, the individual, right? And
Yeah,
the person and um how it affects you.
true.
Yeah. Like I used to lead the vegan nutrition
Yeah,
workshop
I
at
remember.
the place we worked, yoga retreat center here. And
Did we lead that together? I know we did one together.
it, oh yeah, we
I think, no, pranayama.
pranayama,
That was fun.
and there was two workshops, Ayurveda, right? That's what it was. I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah, we did the pranayama and the Ayurveda workshop.
Yeah.
That was super fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that
We
was
should do that again, but not there.
not there.
Somewhere else.
Another place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to put all my stuff online. I'm trying to like um figure out how I want to share all of the things, that you learn in the yoga world
Yeah.
and like record it once and then like give it to humanity. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, here it is.
That's cool.
Um Although there's always going to be a desire for in-person events,
Yeah, for sure.
in-person workshops and things like that.
Definitely.
Especially here, this is such a mecca. This is such a people come here.
Yeah.
Puerto Vallarta. What's what's your what's your vision like for how you work with people here in Vallarta with wellness and yoga and everything?
I feel like my practice and probably like most people's practice or teachers is reflected, like what they're offering is reflected or is a reflection of what they're doing or what they're curious and interested in. And so for me, that's a lot of things, like I'm interested and curious about so many things. Today I received like one of my favorite compliments. Um, Actually, it was a couple weeks ago, but she kind of added on to it. So a student that she's like a regular that comes to class, in class, and she said something along the lines of, I love coming to your class because I feel like you're always taking me to places that I don't know.
Mm,
And I'm most interested in things that I don't know anything about. And I was like, me too, like, so I feel like there's this, shared curiosity, whether that's something about sound. As you know, I'm very interested in sound and bringing that into my practice and sharing that. But I guess my vision is kind of along those lines. I want to be able to take people to places that they don't know about.
yeah,
And so I guess it's like a simple thing.
very cool.
Yeah.
I like that, you know, in my very first teacher training that I attended as a student, right, that first kind of 200 hour, I remember my teacher said, yoga is a well that
Mm-hmm.
runs so deep, it's practically endless. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can dive into yoga and different parts of yoga
Yeah,
and spend the rest of your life searching,
absolutely.
right? And always learning something new and always getting a new perspective.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love about yoga as well. It's like it's always like I don't think there's a way to be bored with it. There's always something that's gonna in take your attention or like uh get your curiosity juices
Oh
flowing.
yeah.
And I guess I'd like to add on to what I just said about what my vision is.
Hmm.
I'd also, it's like two parts. Like I'd also like to bring a little bit of what I felt when I first got like really kind of trapped by yoga. The trap sounds bad or negative, but like when I first got like hooked by yoga and it's like creating a little bit of that kind of magic or like spaciousness or expansion. I feel like that's such an important thing, not feeling like you have time or space and just like being able to kind of exhale and be like, okay, I have space. I have this moment to just be.
Hmm.
And that's been something that I've been really exploring within my own practice and like sharing that as well. So that's kind of currently where I am.
Okay. Like stretching a moment.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, what's awesome about that is that, yes, you're kind of on the clock,
Hmm.
but at the same time, because you're the teacher and we've been trained to be aware of the time,
Yeah.
we are allowing our students to not have to worry about that,
Yeah. That's
right?
really beautifully said.
Yeah. And so that you can say things like, just be in your body and you're at the right place at the right time and you're
Yeah.
doing exactly what you need to be doing,
Yeah.
and you don't need to be doing anything else. There's no benefit to thinking about anything else right now. Just be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or it's also kind of like saying maybe I'll take care of the time so that you don't have to, or like I'll be aware of time and you don't have to think about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Onto the sound, because you said you're interested in sound.
Hmm.
Have you heard of the gateway process?
No.
Gateway tapes? Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
What is
So
this?
this guy, Dr. Monroe, was having out of body experiences and was getting really curious about what leads to an out of body experience and whether or not you can create one.
Mm.
And so what he did was he created a whole process, techniques
Hmm.
and meditations that allow you to have out of body experiences. And he systematized it into these things called the gateway process or the gateway tapes and sells them for like a really high price. But,
Hmm.
and so I found them on YouTube. And the way they work is it's called hemisync. And so you have to use headphones. So one headphone will have a certain hertz sound,
Okay.
and the other side of the headphone will have a slightly altered note. So like if one is at 400 hertz, the other will be at like 399,
Okay.
right? So like really close together.
Hmm.
And what it does is it creates what's called a resonance.
Hmm.
And your brain waves, because the sound is piercing through, your brain waves actually end up syncing to the sound waves that are coming through.
Mm.
And do you know a lot about brain waves, like different brainwave states?
A little
A
bit,
little.
yeah, just because I'm interested in like yoga nidra and and that
Right,
also
right.
deals with brainwave states. But this also sounds a little bit like binaural beats. A little
Yes,
bit.
I think binaural beats is like the pop culture after version of what
Mm.
Dr. Monroe started because his
Okay.
stuff was all he was even working with the CIA actually because
Oh wow.
well the CIA got interested in I want to get the term right, not necessarily out of body experiences, but specifically remote viewing. That's what it's called.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I think it was during the Red Scare, they got interested in like remote viewing what
Mm.
the enemy was doing, right?
Yeah.
Being able to project their body into that space because it is part of that process. And I'm very early in
Mm.
my experimentation with these tapes. Like I'm in the first 5 or 6 tapes, and
Oh wow.
there's different waves. There's like 6 or 7 waves. Um, and each wave has like 5 or 6 tapes. So I'm on the
Mm.
first, very, very first part of the journey.
Oh wow. You'll have to tell me how that goes. That sounds super interesting.
I can tell you now, I've had some really interesting experiences with it.
Yeah.
Um, and like all of this stuff might be the mind, playing tricks, but during one of the tapes, I was like acutely aware of specifically 1,000 dark beings in the room with me. Like like the number came to me. I was like, there are 1,000.
Oh
Like
my
not
God.
not 999, not 1,001, like 1,000. It was weird, and I
Huh.
don't know why. That number doesn't really have a lot of
Yeah.
significance
Mm-hmm.
or speciality. But anyway, and they were dark. So it was like pure darkness beings. And I was like, okay. But before you start the gateway process, they tell you you need to understand that things that induce fear
Mm.
will come up because that's part of the journey and that's part of the process. And so you need to be able to tell yourself, don't be afraid and keep going and nothing can harm me.
Mm.
And so I told myself that in the moment and it was like, boom, gone. And
Wow.
so, yeah, maybe it is a factor of the mind. Maybe it is
Yeah.
something in the mind that did that. But that was like the weirdest experience that I've had with it. I can't say that I've had an out of body experience yet,
Hmm.
hopefully, but let's see.
Or like in meditation.
No, I don't think I've had out of body experiences. I've had like conversations with God in during meditations. I've had blue lights while my
Mm.
eyes were closed that were like this was in my first 10-day silent meditation retreat. It started in like day 2 or 3, and
Mm.
it was like every meditation had those lights,
Oh,
every single
wow.
one throughout the whole time. And I don't have them now when I meditate, but during that experience, something
Yeah.
about being in that room with
Yeah, in
those
that
people
space.
in that space.
And it seems like it's like, it's a consistent practice and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
So like with out of body experiences, is that kind of similar to astral projection a little bit?
it's exactly what it is astral projecting,
Okay.
which apparently we do every single day when we sleep,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, so then it starts to cross over a little bit with lucid dreaming, maybe,
Yes.
which I am super interested in,
Okay.
have been doing a little bit.
Oh, how did you? what is your process for lucid dreaming? How did you find this process?
So I would say I kind of stumbled upon it, and from what I understand, I think it's something that a lot of children are able to do. Um, or even just like night terrors, like all these things, and maybe it's just because, you're more sensitive as a child, or like I don't know, maybe you're new and you're like your creativity and imagination is like rampant. But yeah, I would say like I stumbled upon it and I didn't know that's what it was. And then I just started learning more about it. And then there's like techniques to kind of induce it. And so there was a period of time where I was able to do it pretty often.
Mhm.
And now I'm not. But like now I'm like I want to do that again. Like it's something that I really enjoy because it kind of gives you a lot of insight about yourself. And yeah, it's just really, it kind of reminds me of the experience that you told me about. Like I feel like it's just kind of waking up in a
Mhm.
dream and you're just kind of suddenly aware of all these things that have been there all along and you're just kind of tuned to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, some people say that this is the dream,
Yeah,
right? This conversation, even the fact that
totally.
we're here together,
Yeah.
this is, what is it? Advaita Vedanta. It's not two.
Mm-hmm.
Advaita means not two, and Vedanta means the end of knowledge, not the end like it's done, but the end like the total summation, like all encompassing knowledge. And that is that there is no separation,
Yeah.
right? But in this physical environment, there is separation, but it's the dream. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we're dreaming in this world, we're actually returning back to the real reality of the
Mm.
astral realm,
Yeah.
where everything is
Possible.
possible, whole, complete,
Yeah.
right? And like you were talking a little bit earlier about your experience while doing advertising in New York, and then having yoga um, touch something in you, right?
Yeah.
And I think what it does is that it does touch that truth of what the real world is, what the real
Mm.
possibility is out there of being whole,
Yeah.
being complete, and not needing to seek anything outside of ourselves because we're whole beings already and we don't need anything else. We just have to remember.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a really beautiful way to put it, for sure.
yeah. The astral realm.
Well, and when you were talking about like when you're on your 10-day retreat,
Hmm.
silent meditation retreat, and
Yeah.
you had like these lights, um, I would say that was the only time when I also did a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and I want to go back. That's one of my goals for this year.
Hmm.
But that was a time where I did astral project, and I think it was like day 8 or something, and it was just like this sudden kind of like I was in deep meditation and suddenly it was I don't even know how to explain it. I just felt like I was somewhere else but also there.
Yeah.
But there was like this kind of tie back to where I was. And it was almost like looking through a pinhole camera or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best way I know how to describe it. And there was an element of fear to it too. It was like kind of like what's going on? What is this?
Hmm.
But it was just kind of having that awareness of that.
Right.
And it didn't last for very long. And I somehow came back to it. Kind of, I think that fear kind of grounded me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I wanted to have that experience again, like we often do when we have like this great meditation practice,
Yeah.
revelation or whatever. And you're like, oh, I want that again. And then you meditate like with this expectation. And we know that you shouldn't bring an expectation to your meditation practice.
Hmm.
But, we're human and we're like, oh, I want that again. I
Yeah.
want to experience that.
I can identify with that. Like, I don't think I go into meditation without expectation. I think every time I go into meditation, my expectation is like to get a little bit of that,
Yeah.
to get a little bit of that,
Mysticism.
yeah, that
Yeah.
heaven,
Mhm.
right? To get a little bit of that feeling. I mean, I think that's what enlightenment, at least as they describe it,
Mhm.
is. It's being able to be in that state like at all times.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a goal. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine? It's like just you're floating through life.
And like you could just kind of get there without a lot of effort. Maybe
Right.
it's like effortless.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be fun. That would be super fun. Okay, so what other do you do like because you work in a wellness center that offers like a range of things, like things that like I've never heard of. Like you have a deprivation tank, right? Oh,
No,
I thought you had a deprivation
no, I
tank.
have gone to a deprivation
Okay.
tank.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we offer lots of different modalities.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's kind of right up my alley because I think that um, this kind of intersection of technology and wellness is really exciting.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I will say that there is time and space for things that are very simple, that are very about simple habits, like whether that's uh, breathing,
Hmm.
bringing consciousness to your breath.
Touch a tree.
Yeah, exactly. Or like uh, putting your feet in sand, or just kind of looking at the ocean and disassociating for a little bit, letting that be your medicine, which I like to do that.
I'm a big disassociating fan, a huge disassociating fan. Oh my
Do
God.
you do that? Do you go to the ocean and just kind of like,
I probably go 5 days a week at this point for sunset usually.
oh yeah, I
I
love
I
that too.
need it. I absolutely need it. Where it's being just hearing the waves and
Mhm.
having my body touch the sand and enjoying the sunset and the colors
Yeah,
and just like letting myself kind of space out for an
yeah,
hour.
totally.
Yeah.
I haven't done it. I don't know why. Like, I feel like I go in these phases where I'm like doing something like all the time and then I like do something else, but I need to go back. And
Yeah.
especially the sunsets here are pretty epic.
Yeah.
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 We're lucky that way.
It's like you live about how many blocks from the
So
ocean?
just like two or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
two, three.
Yeah.
We should go.
Let's go. I
Yeah.
was actually thinking after this, if you're hungry, I want to get food at El Barracuda.
Oh yeah,
Do you
let's
want to go?
go. Yeah.
Yes.
We won't have
Okay.
a sunset, but
No, that's okay. No, yeah, but at least we'll get our feet in the sand and
oh yeah.
maybe feet in the
We
water
could
for a minute.
disassociate in the darkness.
Disassociate. Let's disassociate. Or maybe they'll have a fire show.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, I love that. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Their fire shows there are epic. What if they like fire show isn't the right terminology for it.
Yeah,
Fire
fire
dan
dancing.
fire dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or boy, I think is what it's called.
Boy?
Boy. Boy, like with the P.
Oh boy.
Boy.
I heard boy. I'm like, boy?
I have
Okay.
a friend that used to do that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is he the same guy who does the shows there at El
No, no,
Barracuda?
she's actually a girl, and she doesn't live here. She
Oh,
used to live
okay,
here,
okay.
but she lives in Tulum now, of course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When was the last time you've been to Tulum? Have you been?
Yeah, the last time I went it's been a while. I actually went to her wedding was the last time,
Oh,
which was like 2018. So
okay.
it's been a long time.
Yeah,
What
nice.
about you? When was the last time?
2017. I just went once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I first got to Mexico, like, I think it was,
That was your first Mexico experience?
yeah, I landed in Cancun and
Oh,
left
wow.
Cancun. I didn't want to stay there.
Yeah.
I knew, so like, I literally left the airport and got a bus to first Playa del Carmen for like a meal,
Hmm.
and then I got on a different bus to Tulum.
Oh, that's so
That's
interesting.
where I wanted to go first was Tulum.
Oh,
Yeah, and then
and what did you think? Was it too Illuminati for you?
okay, okay, this was before Tulum was like the thing it is now. Now it's like overrun
Yeah. That's
with
why I don't think I want to go back.
no, and I'm sure
Specific.
there's some beautiful parts to it now still. The ruins obviously are
Yeah, they're
fascinating and
beautiful.
high energy. No, but yeah, so I remember getting off the bus. It was sunset, so it was starting to get dark,
Mhm.
and I had pre-booked a hostel, and I'm walking from the bus station to the hostel. It's maybe a 20-minute walk,
Mhm.
and the first person that I interacted with was a local with a machete. And so on a dark road, and I was all alone, and I'm walking with
Oh
my
my
like
God.
with my one backpack. I'm
Yeah.
backpacking, right?
But that's pretty typical here in Mexico, right? People carrying
Right.
machetes, but you didn't know that
But
at
I
the
didn't
time.
know.
Yeah.
And then and I didn't talk to him because I was shy and I didn't know Spanish, but I was just like, "Oh my God." But like as we're passing by, I was just like, "Please don't murder me." You
Yeah.
know, you have that. And I don't know where that fear came from because I knew Mexico was safe.
Yeah.
Like I have internal trust in
Well, I mean,
nothing's gonna happen kind of thing.
I think it's just kind of an interesting sight having somebody carrying a machete and just being alone on the road with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because like I think what it was in my mind is I was like, this isn't. I'm like, this is a city, but
Yeah.
it's still a jungle.
Right.
It's still a city in the jungle, right?
But it's also interesting, like, because in that moment you probably felt like it was just both of you. You're like, well, you know, this is
If
this
if
could
he
get really dark.
yeah, if he wants to whatever, he
Yeah.
can. Yeah, yeah. No. So I'm obsessed with this tea. Where did
Yeah.
this, what's the story with your Tulsi tea?
Yeah, so it's do you know India Organic, I think is the name of the brand. It's one of my favorite
No, I
brands
don't
of
know
tea.
that one. India Organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have a Tulsi tea, which is the one you're drinking, and then they have a Tulsi Rose, which I absolutely love as well. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's Tulsi with rose
Rose
and
petals, yeah.
cinnamon. Um, yeah, I don't know. I have like such a warm feeling when I think about Tulsi, and it actually reminds me of a friend of mine who had a garden in Brooklyn, and she was growing her own like flowers. Like she had a flower business,
Yeah.
and she started growing herbs. And I told her that I was interested in learning more about plants in general and herbs. And so, she would um, entertain that and like ask me to come and help her like trim her tulsi, and then she gave me a bunch of it. So like I have this one of my favorite pictures, I guess, of me, which is a weird thing to say.
No, that's a beautiful thing to say. You have a favorite picture of you?
Yeah, and what's funny is like it's not even really my face, it's just like my eyes and then like my legs because I'm carrying this whole thing of Tulsi, and
How
it's just
big is it, the Tulsi that you're carrying?
it was like this huge thing. Like she let it just grow and grow and grow, so she just needed to trim it. Um, but yeah, anyway,
Oh,
so
beautiful. Well, we were talking about hostels, and you
oh
said
yeah,
you've had
sorry.
lovely. No, that's okay. You said you had lovely hostel experiences. Is there one that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, there's one in particular. Um, so this was my first time traveling in Europe, and I was traveling alone.
Europe.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I was already in my mid 30s at this point, and I had made my way to Italy, and I really wanted to go to Venice. So actually, I was invited by this really kind of gracious person, Italian, in New York to he wanted to kind of trial or do a trial for his family home to run like yoga retreats. And so he invited me to be part of this like experiment. And so I was like a teacher for his open retreat. And so this was like in Tuscany, and then I made my way to Venice. Um, and so Venice is super expensive.
Yeah.
And so even a hostel was like really expensive. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And they only had room left in the all males room. And I kind of like this was my first
Stinky.
time like being in a hostel and like all males, so I was like already kind of feeling a little weird. And but then like when I woke up in the morning, like I was like next to the canal, and like I met this like amazing group of people that we got to travel with, like this Brazilian man who is like this neuroscientist, actually, sorry, neurosurgeon
Oh,
in Brazil,
God.
and then this woman who was based in Paris, and then we got to travel around. We went to what's the name of that very colorful town near Venice?
Rio?
No, 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 in
Oh,
Venice.
I'm stuck on Brazil. The colorful town near Venice. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it starts with a B. Um, like I don't want to say burrata, that's a cheese.
Ah,
Like
I don't know. I don't know Italy.
but anyway,
I thought it was Brazil.
same, same, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, it was just like a really fun experience, and yeah, like we went to the market together, made meals together, and we just really bonded. So yeah, anyway,
Oh, cute.
yeah, and I'm still in touch with some of those people.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
just
amazing.
like I follow them on Instagram, and like one of them just got married recently.
Aw.
Yeah, the Brazilian guy.
I was gonna say, it's like, were you invited?
No, he did invite me to Brazil, and I should have gone. He lives in Bahia, and I haven't been to that part of Brazil.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Brazil's huge. I also have never been to Brazil.
Well, you would fit right in.
Why? Why do you say that?
I don't know. I think, well, being part Portuguese
Portuguese.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you look like you could be. I mean, isn't that the Brazilian thing? Like they're like,
They're very multicultural,
okay.
very mixed. Yeah. They have like blondes,
Oh
redhead,
yeah.
white skin, dark skin,
But they
everything.
also have like Portuguese roots.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the language. It's quite different in pronunciation from what I grew up with.
Mhm.
But I don't know Portuguese, which, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my mom married an American, someone from the US, and so we just wanted to speak English with us. I think in her mind it was like we're in the United States. They
Yeah.
should know English and that's it. Like
Right.
there's no use to knowing Portuguese.
Right.
So she didn't emphasize it.
Yeah.
So like when we got older, she was like, "Oh, I kind of regret that," and we were like, "Yeah, us too," but like that's okay. Like whatever.
I've heard that story a lot. I think maybe it's a generational thing, like I feel like now people are like trying to teach their
Yeah.
kids their language, their native language. I've heard that a lot.
It's this desire to
Fit in,
fit in.
assimilate.
Exactly. Assimilate. That's the
Yeah.
perfect word.
Well, and so it's interesting because I feel like that happened with my dad's generation.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I somehow got lucky in the sense that, like, yeah, my dad's generation, that was a time when everybody was trying to assimilate, so they were trying to like only learn English, and somehow he learned Spanish.
Hmm.
But I really learned from my mom. So, my mom, and I don't know if this was her just being stubborn and like, no, I'm gonna speak in Spanish and you guys have to learn. And then my dad would speak English to us.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So,
that works. I mean,
yeah,
your Spanish is obviously pretty good.
thanks.
Yeah. Oh, Naz, I'm so obsessed with her.
Oh, she is with you too.
So
She's like, stop.
sweet.
Why did you stop petting me?
Yeah. She's like, no, you can keep doing that. I like the attention. Yes.
This is her spot right here. Her heart chakra.
Oh, yeah. She's a heart girl.
Hmm.
Aw. How was traveling through Europe? You did like was that the only place that you backpacked? Was in Venice? I don't
Um,
backpack. I meant staying in a hostel.
yeah. Um, that time, yes. Yeah. And yeah, because then I stayed with friends, and then I only went to France and Italy for that trip.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. France and Italy. Those are like the two big ones I want to go to so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where else do you want to go?
just like all over Europe actually,
Yeah.
but mostly I think Italy for
Yeah.
the food.
The food's
The
incredible.
food.
Yeah.
And it's very different than what we've had in the US, right? Especially New
Oh,
York.
yeah.
Like basically Italian food in the United States is what was created in New York City
Yeah,
from
true.
immigrants.
And the pizza, which
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of New York pizza.
Yeah, me too,
Yeah.
actually. What's your favorite pizza here in Vallarta?
Um, I love that we keep going back to food, which
I
is
well,
like wellness, right?
yeah, yeah.
In its
No,
own
we
way.
are food, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a couple of spots that I really like, and I was actually gonna ask you before you asked me if I want to go to Barracuda. I like Vegetalia a lot.
Yeah.
I like the thin crust. Um, and then I also like La Notte. Have you been there?
No, I've
That's
been to Vegetalia, but not La Notte.
and that's near
Okay.
Barracuda.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we should go there sometime.
Yeah. What kind of food is La Notte?
It's like Italian. Yeah. Yeah, they also have pastas and pizzas.
I love Italian.
Yeah, me too.
I like Los Muertos Brewing.
Oh
Their
yeah?
pizza's really
Actually,
good.
it's good.
It's really that to me is like I don't know if that's New York style per se, but
Yeah.
to me it
It
feels
kind
like
of
it.
is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the big slices and yeah.
They also have a lunch special that they don't have on their menu.
Oh, the beer and the
Yes, it's a
slice.
it's a beer or whatever drink, and then a slice of pizza and a salad. Did I tell you about this before?
I feel like multiple people have told me
Yeah,
about this.
because they hide it. They're so sneaky.
Why do they hide it?
It's just not on the menu.
Oh,
But if you say like,
it's like if
oh,
you know, you know.
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm letting the world know because you need to know if you come to Vallarta, you need
Yeah,
to go to Los Muertos Brewing.
for
They've
sure.
got I've never had their beer, but it's pretty good, I've heard.
Yeah, I think it's like, well, they're a brewery, right? So
Yeah.
they have their own, yeah. I'm not a big beer drinker, to be honest.
You like mixed drinks?
Um, I like mixed drinks, yeah. I also like wine.
Wine.
Yeah.
Red, white, both
I like red.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosé.
A rosé.
Yeah.
What is a rosé? Is that like a mix?
No, it's just like
A type of red?
actually that's a great question.
Because
I think it's a type of grape, right? Or
oh,
no?
okay. Oh, I don't know. Well, all wine, right? All yeah. But I thought there is like you can mix red and white wine together, and that's something. I thought that was rosé. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm so
I don't
bad
think
with
so. I
this
think
stuff.
it is like a type of grape, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never, yeah, I should look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you have friends who own Coco Machete, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that all going?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Yvette, she's one of the owners. She's one of my best friends.
Hmm.
I've known her since ninth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's great. You should come over, have some
Yeah.
mocktails with me.
There
They
would
have
be a
great
great
mocktails.
there would be a great place to do a game night.
Yes. So
Maybe that's the vibe.
yeah, so
Yeah.
they have bingo. Sorry, not bingo.
Um,
Sorry.
I was into it though. I was like, all right, like whatever. Yeah.
I always do. I always get trivia and bingo confused.
They have
They have trivia,
trivia
trivia night on Sundays.
on Sunday night.
Yeah, and so I went with
Okay.
Willis and Diego
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun. We won. So
Hell
if
yeah.
you win a pizza, and we won twice actually. We won a round of drinks. I think there's like yeah. So
Okay.
we won a round of drinks.
Hmm.
That's like a tongue twister. And a pizza. Actually, I still have my free drink voucher because I didn't use it
Okay.
that night.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Yeah,
Trivia night.
yeah,
Oh, that is so much that takes the pressure off of a game night and
yeah.
hosting and all that. It's like just go
Totally.
there.
But they also have board games.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I'm gonna buy that game I was telling you about set and I could take it there.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think you're gonna really like it.
Okay.
It's like addictive, but kind of like a little heady
Yeah.
and like visual intelligence as well.
You know I'm all about the game nights. I'm all
Oh
about
yeah.
play, like non-sexual play has been
Yeah.
a huge like goal of mine in Vallarta that I really struggled with. Like we kept trying to do social events, right? And it just didn't really work.
Yeah.
We're all so busy.
Well, I would always show up.
I
I would
know,
always show
I
up.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that we're all so busy
Yeah.
and things like that. But
I mean, I think we were up for it, and then like that kind of morphed into the handstands with Ashley,
yeah,
and that was a lot of fun.
yeah.
That was a really fun time in my life.
Just anything in that park in the stadium is
Yeah.
amazing. Like, because I wouldn't say you live that close to it, but I live right near it.
Yeah.
Do you know where I live now?
I think you live close to Raíces, right?
Costa Raíces, yeah,
Yeah.
Chocolateria.
Hmm.
And so I go walking around the stadium all the time because it's
Oh,
just great
cool.
exercise. And I use
Yeah.
the little gym they have there, outdoor
I
gym.
take her there sometimes.
Text me if you're there
Okay.
and I'll meet with you guys.
And she
Yeah.
loves, because you know there's a little dog park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet she goes crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll meet you because I live so close. I walk all the time there. I get all my food around there.
Yeah.
I just love
There's
it.
like great stuff around there.
Really good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, super
The
lucky.
burritos. Have you been to the burritos there?
La Marinara, I think it's called,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're good. They
Yeah.
have like all sorts of crazy ingredients that you
Yeah.
put in there.
There's
Yeah.
like really rich burritos.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And they give you a little vegetable
Yeah.
appetizer,
Coleslaw.
coleslaw
Yeah.
to start. So there's actually a bit of science around that, like that I love. Did we talk about this?
No, no, no. Is it like the fermented kind of stuff or?
No. Well, maybe. I mean, yes. Well, what I was going to say is that they find that if you eat a vegetable starter for
Mm.
before you eat like a larger meal with protein and fat,
Yeah.
the vegetables actually form a layer in
Oh.
your esophagus and in your stomach and in your colon and all that
Hmm.
that prevents like blood sugar spikes and things like that. I should say prevent. I should say it blunts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it just kind of like gets the body ready for like a bigger, heavier, heartier meal.
Yeah.
And so like if you can front load your meal with vegetables, do it.
I think I have heard of this, like, or like carrots or celery. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it's also kind of having to do with food pairing, right? Like,
food
because
pairing.
it's easier to digest those things before you digest fats and proteins.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and so then your body is making the bile and everything it needs to digest, and then the flood of whatever else you're putting in after it
Yeah.
comes in, right? Like the pizza, the burger, the
Yeah.
whatever it is we want
The
to eat.
chicken with the
The
tortillas,
rotisserie,
tacos.
the rotisserie chicken that I love.
Which one do you like? El pechugon?
That's the one. The answer is whichever one is closest to me. And right now, yes, it's El Pechugon.
Yeah.
But before, I was eating a lot at Pollo Feliz.
Oh, yeah.
And so for people who don't know Spanish, it means happy chicken.
Yeah.
And I would always say El pollo que no es feliz. like the chicken that is not happy.
Yeah, because how
Aw.
can you be happy?
Well, okay, so like this is a thing that has been going in my head. Like there are people who are vegan. There's a lot of
Yeah.
vegetarians in the yoga world. I recently came across this theory that like prey animals,
Hmm.
it's like that's their purpose.
Mm.
That's why they're here.
Yeah.
It's like they because there's a hierarchy in the animal kingdom
Yeah.
and we're at the top, right? And as hunters, that's not the right term. Alpha? I don't know what the right term is for us.
Hunter-gatherers?
Apex.
Oh, yeah.
As the apex, it is our job to do the hunting.
Sorry, I can't believe I said hunter-gatherers.
No, it's okay. Oh, I hunt the chicken and I gather the chicken. No,
I think that's a term for like, um,
it's like nuts and seeds and things. Yeah.
yeah, like
Foraging.
prehistoric humans.
Foraging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Foraging. So, what are your thoughts on just vegetarianism in the yoga world or veganism in the yoga world?
Actually, I was gonna ask you the same question. Like,
Well, you already know my opinion. I'm a huge fan of eating animals.
yeah,
I think we are divine creatures. We are made in the image of God,
yeah.
and we are put on earth, which is this perfect place for us.
Mm,
And in a way, everything on this earth was made for us. And so I think animals and nature, it is made to be used,
mm,
but not made to be abused.
yeah,
And so, like plants, for example, you're not supposed to decimate a forest, but it's good for the forest if you take 20%,
right.
right? Of whatever fruit, vegetable is there, 20%, and you leave the rest for nature. And then we're doing a service. And if we don't do that, it's actually harmful to the forest, for an example, right?
Yeah,
I think the same thing with animals. I think leave the animals to nature, but take some because
mhm,
that's why it's here.
right.
That's my
When
whole
there's overpopulation.
right. And
Yeah.
and then the other thing that I square in my mind for justifying being a meat eating yogi
Mhm.
is the concept of ahimsa means nonviolence. And when I've tried to be vegetarian for almost 2 years,
I was gonna ask you if you've ever experimented with that.
it's brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal. And I had health problems, a lot of health problems.
Hmm.
And when I went to a doctor, they were like, because this was in India, he was like, oh, or she, it was a woman. She said, did you used to eat meat? Because she knew I was vegetarian. And I said, yes. And she goes, maybe reintroduce meat
Yeah.
because I think your problems are coming because you used to be a meat eater and now you're not.
Mm.
And then I literally that night went and had animal products again, and it was like instantly better, instantly
Yeah,
better.
I've heard that a lot actually.
And so for me, I see ahimsa
Mm.
as being about myself as well. And so
Right.
for me, nonviolence is eating animal products, and
Yeah.
that's how I justify it in my mind. But whether it's right or not is up to the creator to judge, right? At the end.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I've also experimented with vegetarianism, and I used to work at a place that not, doesn't necessarily need to be named. That was a very vegan place.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I feel like I've kind of gone back and forth. You know, like I'm also an animal lover, so but I completely understand this like nonviolence towards yourself. Um,
Hmm.
you know, when I experimented with veganism, I was also, I mean, it was almost like, okay, how do I nourish myself in the ways that I think are best? But I don't think I was necessarily doing a great job at it.
Hmm.
Like, I think during that time is when I was very interested and curious about like healing and nutrition and the best ways to, yeah, to nourish myself. And so I don't think that I was getting the best, um, like, I don't think my health was optimal. And I think unless you're in a position where you can create a meal that you're getting your sufficient amount of nutrition, whether that's like your proportions for protein and um, your vegetables and your seeds and your nuts and everything, unless you're very kind of strict about that, And when I don't think that we all have the time or the luxury to do that. I think we also live in a real world. I mean, yes, we need to fight for injustices when we see them,
Hmm.
but there's not always the option to do that. Or I
Right.
remember one of my favorite ways to look at this when I was going through teacher training was, um, one of the teachers was like, okay, if you want to experiment with veganism, you can do that. But again, thinking about like how that really relates to being in the real world, right? Like say that you're at your grandmother's house and she made you this beautiful meal, but it has meat. Are you gonna say no to that?
Right.
Because of your principles, or like what's more important in that case? Is it accepting love from your grandmother in that form, or is it more about what you think to be ethical? So I think it's always like this kind of qualm and like what it comes down to, but I don't have a real answer.
Right. Well, because that is the answer, is that it's
Yeah,
so personal and
true.
it's cultural
Yeah,
and it's family and it's intense. But it's an important question because we are what we eat, literally.
yeah.
Like we're nothing more than physical beings and
Mhm.
we ingest things that become part of us.
Yeah,
And so it's a question for all time. I don't know, there are a lot of arguments for
yeah.
being vegan, and I certainly agree with every single one. Every
Mhm.
single argument that is like, be vegan, I'm like, absolutely. Like, save the planet, do the
Yeah,
right thing for a climate crisis, do the right thing for the animals, like, absolutely. But there's just something inside of me that's like, I don't want to say rebelled,
hmm,
because that sounds negative, but it's just like, I instinctually just know. And I've tried so many times to beat my head against the wall, literally,
yeah,
to be vegetarian or vegan, and watched how it didn't work for me. And then I'm like, I can't argue with my direct experience. I can't. I
yeah.
cannot. And so I understand that yoga has a certain opinion about it,
Hmm.
but I also see yoga as a science,
Yeah,
and it's something that's always changing.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. There's also, and I talk about this with Eduardo from Raices a lot. I talk about how there are people who just eat prana.
Yeah,
Have you heard of this?
yeah, or fruitarians.
Fruitarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for people who don't know prana, life force energy, oxygen, or
Yeah.
just being out in the environment, getting a bit of sunlight, or even touching a tree. I've heard people say like we are vibration and we are electrical beings, which is true.
Mhm.
And they said we're like little batteries, but we don't need food to re-energize. That's one way, but you can also just touch a tree. If you
Mhm.
touch a tree,
Mhm.
it will give you the energy and vibration you need to sustain life. And
Mhm.
it's like interesting. It's so interesting. And I
Yeah.
don't, that might be something I try in a little bit. It's like, who knows? It's like, if.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I think that there's such pleasure also that comes from food, and there's culture, and there's connection, and there's these moments of relating to people, and it's such a ritual as well. So, I mean, I think that you're also kind of giving that up in a way, right?
True. The ability to connect with others in a shared
Yeah,
experience.
exactly.
Because if you put a stop to it, like, oh no, I don't eat that, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, it's like the energy just like
yeah.
gets sucked out. Yeah. But it's a tough question. I like the Dalai Lama's stance on it.
What is it?
The Dalai Lama will eat whatever is put in front of him. So, and he travel. Well, I don't know if he's traveling so much anymore, but
Yeah.
when he would travel, if people put meat in front of him, that's what he ate. It's
Mm.
like, okay, thank you.
Wow.
What is he gonna say?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, yeah. That's a great way to look at it. And
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, you think about somebody like the Dalai Lama that you would think, oh, well, he's a strict vegan, right?
You would
But
assume.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
No,
no.
not so much. Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, the topic of food is like, oh my gosh. What is your go-to diet? Like, does it change a lot, or you kind of tend to eat the same sort of things?
Um, I feel like I used to be a lot more strict.
Hmm.
When I was in my 30s, I did like a elimination diet, and
Hmm.
um, I found that it was really easy to kind of get, not that this is the ultimate goal, but like really easy to get toned, and like I was able to lose weight very quickly. Um, and ultimately feel very light,
Hmm.
and like very kind of optimal.
Yeah.
And like my yoga practice felt like really kind of light and like optimized. Of course I'm joking, but
I just,
maybe not joking.
but like what I love about that language that you're using right now is immediately I just think of like a machine,
Yeah.
and that's
Like I'm,
not what we are,
yeah,
right?
like I'm hacking.
Right.
Hacking.
Optimize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I figured out I need 3 quarts of oil, and that will, allow me to that viewpoint.
but yeah, I mean, in a way, that was like I think about that period of my life, but also, I was in my 30s, early 30s, so like my metabolism was different, and now I guess the way that I approach food and diet is, you know, I I try to have like my non-negotiables, which is like in the mornings, like the first thing I do is hydrate, drink water, and then I try to lean into my intuition as to what I need
Hmm.
for food and nourishment. And sometimes that could be like, I'm really craving something really fresh, like a salad. Um, and like I really need some broccoli right now, you know? And sometimes I
I
do that.
do know. I know exactly what you mean.
Lately this week, I've really been on a popcorn kick. I've
Okay.
been having that as a snack
Yeah.
and like having it like a snack with coconut oil and maybe some pink salt. Or like today I had popcorn with lime juice and black pepper.
Hmm.
And so I think I just kind of I don't I don't know if that's like the way that I should be eating. I know that like there's science that says, oh, if you're craving a certain thing, it's probably something that you're lacking.
Hmm.
Like when you crave chocolate, it's because you're needing magnesium. And there's a wisdom to your body and like what it's, but again, maybe it's not always great, right? Because what if you're craving salt and you get potato chips?
Yeah.
Or maybe you're craving like cakes,
I
like what,
craved I craved Burger King
yeah,
today. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a balance, right? Like, okay, what are you gonna lean into? What are you gonna like acquiesce?
Yeah.
What are you gonna say yes to? Um, and what are you gonna try to um, like find nutritional value in? Like you kind of did it earlier with the Burger King thing, where it's like, do I love myself? Or like with the chicken thing, the tortillas, does those have nutritional value? No, they don't.
In comparison to chicken and potatoes, no.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
But will I go out and eat tacos? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of like what you were saying earlier, where it's like you don't want to deprive and
right.
you don't want to put a barrier. Like I'm not gonna go to a taco stand and be like, oh, 3 tacos, no tortilla.
Yeah.
You
Or
can,
or you
but
don't want to go and like, okay, 3 tacos, no meat. I just want the tortilla.
yes, so silly.
Sorry.
Tortillas, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a woman in India when I was in India. She's originally from I think Ukraine, and she would always get chapati, which is essentially a tortilla.
Uh-huh.
It's made with just wheat flour or white flour. I can't remember. She would just eat that and dip it in honey, and that was her dessert.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so it's just like you said, it's like just tortilla,
Yeah.
tortilla and salsa for your dinner, and tortilla and honey for your
Yeah.
dessert.
I mean, I was joking, but
Yeah,
just kind of like
yeah.
exaggerate, like, going from one extreme to the other. But yeah, I mean, I think it's all about balance. And so, in a nutshell, I guess I'm just trying to lean more into intuition. What ideally, what I'd like to do is prepare more meals for myself.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that's very healing. And also, there's just something really nice about like, knowing what's going into your food, knowing because you're preparing it, right?
Yeah.
And then like infusing like some of your like love and um yeah. So
Oh, I love that. Are you a good cook?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I need to do it more often, but I think I'm pretty good at like if there's something that I really like I'll ask the person who made it, like, hey, will you give me the recipe? And
Cool.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cooking is like has been a meditation,
Yeah.
honestly. It's
You're a
the
good cook.
I like to cook.
Actually, I have to say, speaking of the recipe thing,
Yeah.
the way that you made lentils for me once,
Hmm.
that inspired me, and that's how I make lentils. Like from that day, like
Cool.
I like what is it? Sprout them. So I let them soak,
Yes.
and that's how I've always made lentils now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a difference. It's like the levels of the different macronutrients as well as micronutrients in the lentil
Mm.
and how it's absorbed in the body
And it's
completely change.
easier to
It's
digest
easier to digest.
and it cooks faster.
Yep, it's been
Yeah.
pre-digested. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it got me into this kick of looking into it, like, oh, like what's this all about? And that's when I learned that fact about just how it absorbs different. There's a lot of wisdom in the old ways
Yeah.
of food. And I don't know, like talking about rules of food, my only rule is like as minimally processed as possible,
Hmm.
right? And so that's where like, will I get Burger King? Once in a while, very like once a month, not even that often, once a quarter kind of thing, because it's processed. And so it goes through that filter of as soon as it hits that, it's like a wall for me. I'm like, oh, that's a really rare thing.
Right.
Yeah. Today in a little tiendita,
Hmm.
they did have a corn cheesecake,
Oh, wow. That's
homemade.
interesting.
So good. It was so good.
I bet.
And so I didn't say no to that. I was like, nah, we're gonna have to get that. That's a yes. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All
I
right.
think maybe we're hungry. Maybe that's where it's
I think
coming
yeah,
from.
maybe
So
maybe we
much.
can like put a pause on the episode and like we'll end it here and just get something to eat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
cool.
good.
Sara, this has been amazing. Thank you for
Uh,
being on the podcast. How do
thank
how do
you so
people
much.
find you? How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram, I have a website. Thank you so much for having me.
Hmm.
It's been really fun. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just been like a conversation, like one of our strange, funny, interesting conversations and the various tangents that they usually go into.
Yeah,
So
cool.
thank you.
Yeah, what's your website?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so my Instagram is like my middle name, like S_Cecilia. And then my website is solimaryoga.com. So sol like
Hmm.
SOLYMAR.com. And that's because I use a lot of like I'm inspired, of course, by nature, like Chinese medicine theory, and try to infuse that in my practices and offerings. So yeah,
This has been amazing. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. So this has been the How We Are Healing podcast. And remember, as always, take care of yourself first. You can then help take care of others. Namaste. Woo! Hello, I'm Tristan. I was just like you. I wanted to become a yoga teacher. I noticed all the positive changes it brought to my life. I didn't want to have to travel, though, to do a yoga teacher training and all that goes along with that, right? Being put in a room with a bunch of strangers. What if I had to use the bathroom and I have to miss the part of the lecture and dealing with that awkwardness? I also didn't want to have to spend a fortune. And let's be real, yoga teacher trainings can be very expensive. Lastly, I wanted to be able to start teaching yoga right away because if I'm honest, I felt ready before I was even certified. It's just what happens when you find something that really speaks to your soul and when you have that focus and when you have that discipline. For me, the program I wanted didn't exist, but now it does. I created it. I created the yoga teacher training that I dreamed of. It's a course that's affordable at just $99 a month. You can even finish everything within the first 30 days if you're super dedicated. But there's no pressure. Go at your own pace, it's there. Because of this, also, you can start earning money right away. I give you the tools you need so that you can start earning. That means the course immediately starts paying for itself. Just in case that's not enough, there is also a 30-day money-back guarantee. I wanted to make it so that you have nothing to lose, an entire lifetime of yoga knowledge to gain. So what are you waiting for? Get started today. Go to shantiyogaschool.com to access the course now. That's SHANTI yogaschool.com. Hey, it's Tristan again. Thanks for tuning in to How We Are Healing. I hope you found it meaningful. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving a review or sending this episode to friends and family. Until next time, Omis, keep shining.